Joining me now is Derrick Johnson, President and CEO of the NAACP. Thank you for joining me today, Derrick. And let me start right there. NAACP, as all of us in the 8 legacy organizations, don't endorse candidates, but we certainly deal with what is in the interests of people in this country, blacks and others. And Trump's racial attacks on Kamala seems biting no matter what side of the aisle you're on. As head of the NAACP, the oldest and largest civil rights organization, how do you respond to these racial attacks that Mr. Trump has leveled at Vice President Kamala Harris?
We must stay focused on the public policy difference between the candidates and not be distracted by attacks. You think about the National Association of Black Journalists, the question was about his track record as it relates to African Americans, his statements, his posture. As opposed to answering the question, he went on an attack because he wasn't speaking to the African American community. He was speaking to his MAGA base to say that I can go into an African American venue and attack them. And that's something we should not tolerate under any circumstances. The real question for African Americans of the choices we have on the ballot, which of these candidates will represent our best interests moving forward and not get distracted by the former president, because the former president have demonstrated both in his statements, his actions, and his presence that he lacked any respect for the African American community.
Now, the NAACP is targeting states and are engaging black voters. I know you have a new initiative in terms of just getting people out to vote and energizing people because of what's at stake here. Tell us about that.
Well, it's important for us with the energy that's taking place that we engage infrequent African-American voters. We're asking those that once you contribute to NAND and ACP or even whatever campaign, but also enroll as a volunteer by texting to the number 20707, the word volunteer, so we can partner you with an infrequent voter in your community. African Americans, we have a lot at stake during this election, and we must engage everyone in our neighborhood and those in our households. What we've seen in 2008, we've seen a tremendous turnout of African American voters. We've seen a tremendous turnout in 2012 as well. We've seen a tremendous turnout in 2020, and as a result of those turnouts, we got things such as the Affordable Care Act passed, where more African Americans have health care. We've seen student loan debt canceled for so many teachers across the country. We've seen insulin costs go down. Our vote matter. We have the authority. So let's engage. Text to the number 20707 volunteer so we can turn out to vote to ensure our interests are protected.
Now, you've just laid out a lot of what is at stake for black Americans and what the NAACP is doing. Other groups have initiatives. Do you think this sense of urgency is beginning to increase on the ground in the black community?
What we have seen, and you've witnessed this as well, Reb, over the last 2 weeks, the energy level have turned up. I spoke to a group in Mississippi yesterday. It was about 200 people in the room. Many individuals, but for the new energy level, probably would not have been in the room. And everyone was asking, how can we get involved? What can we do? And how important this election is. What also has happened over the last 3 weeks is more people are talking about the public policy that's on the table, Project 2025. And if you think about the impact it would have on our community and tax policy, many people are concerned. And so we're seeing an increase in enthusiasm. We're seeing an increase of those who want to be involved. And it's our job, mine, yours, Mark's, and all of the civil rights legacy organizations and social justice groups in general, is to give people a way to be involved so we can measure their impact, and their impact can have an outcome in November.
Now, in terms of the issues and overall moving, one of the things that we've done in the legacy organizations that you talked about, that we all work together, is that we've raised the issues, we tell people to get out to vote, and we hold whoever wins accountable. It's not that we're giving a blank check to someone if they're black or if they claim to be white. This is a claim to be with us as a white progressive, I should say. This is an ongoing process, which is why you have legacy organizations, to get people out to vote, but then to hold people accountable that they voted for.
That's right. I mean, you think about it. You demanded in 2020 that we have regular meetings with the administration, regardless of the administration. We got to the meetings. We demanded that we have to do something with student loan debt crisis. You know, you can't close a racial wealth gap if you didn't address the credit debt ratio and the impact of student loan was having on many African Americans with the credit debt ratio. And as a result of that, the last administration, this administration, committed to have a cabinet that looked more diverse than ever before. And having Secretary Fudge at HUD, she created a mechanism to create more Black home ownerships. Our advocacy, your advocacy, to ensure that the issues of student loan debt cancellation was impacted. And that resulted in the wealth gap beginning to narrow because home ownership is really important. You couldn't get that unless you had an impact on a credit debt ratio. That's our role. Our job is to look at the public policy to improve the quality of life of African Americans. And if we do that well, we improve the quality of life for all Americans.
Now, we are in the middle of the weekend or the end of the weekend now, where Kamala Harris, the vice president, is deciding her running mate. And we are told we'll know by Tuesday, but it could be any moment now. Do you have any thoughts on her decision? Leaning either way, who's stronger, who's not as strong in the area of civil rights?
Well, in my personal capacity, I prefer not to opine. At the end of the day, you and I both want an ingredients that would allow us to appreciate all that this democracy have to offer after the election, and that we can fully engage and participate, and that we don't have an individual who occupied the White House with a running mate that's seeking to subvert democracy and prevent my children, your grandchildren, from fully participating as citizens in this country. And so whatever the decision is for the current VP, whatever the decision in terms of November, it is our job to ensure the quality of life of African Americans look more reflective of the future of this nation and less like an apartheid system of 1930.
Now, I'm out of time, but I want to go back to one thing before I let you go, and I'm, again, appreciative you came on the show tonight. Give again, what are the dangers of Project 2025, which is the only real policy we're hearing from that side, and how people can log on and work with the NAACP on getting out the vote?
Project 2025 will substantially curtail the rights of not only African Americans, but Americans. It would change the tax code in a way in which the super wealthy would benefit and we would pay an unfair share. That even the teaching of Black history, we will find that there will be a nationwide book ban, and that any teacher who has been interpreted to teach Black history, they will be prosecuted federally. It's 900 pages of suppressing the rights and aspirations of Americans. So we're asking people to text to the number 20707, the word volunteer, and help us turn out to vote. Infrequent voters live in our house, they live in our precincts, they live in our neighborhood, and we got to get them out to the polls. And it's our organization, we're responsible to get it done, and we will get it done if you text 20707, the word volunteer. Thank you, Rev.